God, it's been so long since I saw you. How have you been? How have you been? I'm good, thank you. I'm out of school. Just finished my 25th school year here, okay? Mind you, I spent my entire educational career here. So I've only worked here. Sycamore Middle School in Pleasantville, Tennessee. No, I haven't always been a guidance counselor, though. You know, I came straight out of college, and I got hired here as a middle school teacher, even though I wanted to teach high school. But, Sycamore's felt like family. It's been hard to leave. Until that morning, September 28th, 2016, a day unfolding like any other. Molly received her Medal of Honor for her active service beyond duty in 2016. Her duty, or her case, was as a guidance counselor, where in 2016, she came face-to-face with a potential shooter and managed to talk him out of it. Molly embodies faith, humility, quick thinking under pressure, immense courage, and of course, dedication to service. As a student myself, school shootings are genuinely terrifying, and sometimes the school shooter just needs someone to talk to. We actually had 6 mass shootings across our entire country that year, clashing with the ones that we had in Columbine, which is kind of interesting. And the day that I found out, I remember that day pretty vividly. You know, that was the day that we had 24-hour television TV service. Of course, I didn't watch the whole 24 hours, but actually, you know, went through all of what just happened. You know, I just kind of flickered through, skimmed it until I saw a story that caught my fat attention. I saw a story about these 2 boys that had shot out their high school, and apparently they'd been planning it for over a whole year. But that wasn't the only most terrifying thing. A lot of people died. But what really terrified me was how these boys, how they could plan this problem of such magnitude of over a year and nobody hear about it. So that got me thinking. That got me researching, actually. So I read through every article, anything about teen mass shootings, signs in them, news stories, whatever. I actually own every single book of teen mass shootings. And it was interesting because I thought, hey, if there was a kid like this in my classroom, would I be able to see that he was in trouble? That, like, he needed help? Probably not. But the next day of school, it was the first day of school, and I was just kind of sitting down on my calendar, and I was looking up, and I saw this boy approaching me, so I looked up, and I saw him, and I was like, hey, I recognize this kid, but I don't really know him. Now, it bothered me, because I've been working for like 25 years. Why do I not know this kid? But anyway, he came over, and he introduced himself, stuff like that, and then he started talking about teen mass shootings, which was honestly very terrifying. But hey, maybe this kid was just interested about this stuff. So, okay, you do you. I just sat there and I listened. And like a good guidance counselor, I looked like I believed him. Sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't. But what was most important was that I sat there and I let him talk. I didn't disrupt him what I thought was a falsehood. I didn't disrupt him, tell him what should have gone wrong, what should have gone right. I just sat there, and when the bell rang, he walked away and said thank you. Good for him. And I think I provided him a safe haven to come and talk to, because the Monday after that and the few days after that, basically every single day, he came back and talked to me. And it was basically the same thing about these teen mass shooting stories that he got, that he read, stuff like that. And until one day, it was just a normal day. You know, the usual day he came in and he started talking. But I watched him talk to me, and something was off. His demeanor was different, and he started asking alarming if-then questions, and oh boy, my heart started racing, because I tried to keep calm, honestly, but the only thing that I could really think about was the fact that this boy, he had a gun. But how would I know this? Because I've been reading about stories and the works of Dr. Peter Langman of the signs that you find in teen mass shootings of teens who are about to shoot their school. And I saw a bunch of these signs in the boys, such as like asking those alarming questions, talking about teen mass shootings, which is a big thing. the fact that his demeanor was just different. And the moment I thought that, oh, he's got a gun, this boy opened up his jacket flap, and I saw rows of bullets and one fat gun on the right side of his jacket. And I was, I'm not dealing with this. But I did. I dealt with it. And he told me, has anyone ever told you that they've got a gun? And I was like, oh boy, this is going to end up bad. So I was sitting down and I walked over and I kneeled kind of in front of him and I told him, hey, why don't we, go talk this out? Because this was serious. And nope, this little boy, as if he was acting feral, he put away all his stuff and closed it up and held the gun in his left hand. So I took his right hand because I thought, well, if you're going to shoot me, might as well do it with your less dominant hand. Maybe you might miss. And then the bell rang, and that gave me 7 minutes to tell me that I had 7 minutes to get him out, or else kids would start calling the police and everything would go down. So I sat there. He probably knew that he better stay quiet or he would get called the cops on. So we sat there, and I was just holding his hands the entire time. And until the 7 minutes ended, and the hallway noise died down, signaling that the students were back in class, which gave me a brief sense of relief. But then I turned my attention to the problem right next to me, the problem that I was holding right with my hand. And, I started praying because I was terrified, and I prayed for the protection of him, our school, and for everybody else in our school because I didn't know what was going to go down. And while he kept his eyes closed in fear, I kept mine open also in fear. But I kept mine open, not closed. And the whole time I was just thinking, like, please, Lord, bless this kid. Don't let him do this. And then he raised the gun. And if you were in my situation, you would probably think that he was about to shoot himself. There you go. I was terrified that this was going to happen. But I was determined to not just watch this happen and go down. And, being the terrified person I kind of just reached out my hand, and my hand was shaking because of how scared I was. And hey, why don't you put the gun down and maybe we can talk about it? And he put the gun down and he scratched his head, which was interesting, and it led for a brief sense of humor, but that was not what I needed. And then at that moment, I started sobbing. He started sobbing, but I was sobbing even harder because I didn't know what to do at that time. And I literally almost just let this kid shoot himself. So we stood there. We sat there, and I started telling him, hey, good job for putting that gun down on me. I know, the right thing may never be easy, but it's still the right thing, right? He didn't say anything, and he just hugged me. And I remember advice from a teacher, a dope class teacher. Don't let go of the hug until the child does. So I never did. And I still remember, hugging him and watching the clock on the wall. I still have the clock on the wall. Anyway, and then some kid found out that there was a shooter at our school. Anyhow. Mind you, this boy had no friends, so I don't know how they found out, but they called the cops, and the cops came, and a few days later, he was sent to juvenile jail, and a few days later was also the day of his court case, and I watched him, and I just sat in the crowd, because I was a first-time witness. I just sat there, listening to what this boy is charged with, disrupting public peace, doing all these stuff that he didn't do, because he told me that he was trying to shoot out his high school because if he didn't, somebody would shoot out his family. So I couldn't take this anymore. I raised my hand to the judge. Judge called on me, and I told judge, hey, this boy, he's troubled. Get him some help. Let him say something because you don't even know what he's been through. So the judge took me in, and I started explaining him the whole entire story. And when I was done, I sat up, and the boy was later interviewed, and he told me, Mrs. Molly Hudgens, he said in the interview, hey, I talked to Miss Hudgens because I thought she was the only person that could talk me out of this, that could talk me out of shooting out my high school. And genuinely, That was the best compliment I've ever received in my entire life. Thank you.